I had a good time. I think it was our best debate ever. I thought it was really good. We had 3 against 1, but I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Last night's debate felt completely rigged, and it wasn't hard to see the bias coming from the moderators. It was obvious that the deck was stacked against Trump, and the whole thing felt more like a Democrat cheerleading session than a fair debate. But I don't think the American people watching was fooled last night. Let's listen to Megyn Kelly completely dismantle ABC's crooked attempt to moderate a presidential debate.
I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. It was 3 against 1. It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side.
During the Biden-Trump debate on CNN, the moderators didn't interrupt or correct Trump, not one time letting him have a free and open debate against his then-opponent, Joe Biden. But last night's debate, he was interrupted or corrected more than 10 times. RFK Jr., even though he endorsed Donald Trump, he's a known Democrat or independent. And he clearly saw the bias on the debate stage last night.
Fortunately, we had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. None of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
Even though it was a 3 versus 1 debate last night, Trump was still able to expose her policy plans or lack thereof. Clearly, Kamala is struggling to find real footing with people who want to know what's her real plan. And how does it differ from the current president, Joe Biden?
What I saw was President Trump staying very focused on the issues that are most important to the American people, continuously, no matter what kind of lies or baiting attempts Kamala Harris or the moderators threw at him. He kept coming back to the issues that the American people are concerned about. He kept coming back to Kamala Harris's broken border and the fact that that's causing incredible hardship and people to be afraid to walk on their own streets. He kept bringing it back to rising crime and the fact that most Americans now having a hard time affording the basic necessities because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's inflation and rising cost of living. President Trump brought voice to the American people who have felt ignored and unheard for the last 3.5+ years by the Harris and Biden administration. And tonight, Kamala Harris not only did not acknowledge that the American people are struggling right now, she didn't talk at all about how she will fix or try to fix what she's broken. And I think it's because she knows that she can't.
You've watched the debate. What's your reaction?
You know, I think we still don't know who Kamala Harris is or what she plans to do. I didn't hear once a detailed description of what she was going to implement to make families' lives better, how she was going to make their groceries more affordable, gas prices drop, and allow them more opportunities into the future. So that's what's shocking to me, is these moderators never once pushed her, never once fact-checked her, even when she misspoke and when she lied. And it was pretty strange to watch that dynamic go down. I feel like the American people still at the end of this debate don't really know what Kamala Harris would do. And the next question should have been, if you're going to do that, why not do that today? Prove it. You have 2 months, you have 50 days here to prove to the American people you are who you say you are. Do it. You're in charge. And nobody challenged her on that.
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
You know, I'm taking a high school AP Gov class, and I had several friends blowing my phone up last night saying this is clearly a 3v1. These are not political commentators sitting in a New York studio. These are guys back home, you know, watching this on the high school and senior year. I think it was very clear, you know, what was going on here. The moderators spent 90 minutes bringing up old topics. They actually spent more time in this debate talking about January 6th than they did talking about the price of eggs at the grocery store or the high gas prices that are affecting not only my generation but generations ahead of us. And it's really, really frustrating. Listen, Rob, we're 55 days out starting today from Election Day. And my message to my generation is very clear and simple. We saw it last night on the world stage. We have a choice between a candidate of chaos, Kamala Harris, who will continue the chaos that we've seen by this administration, actually make it more radical, or a candidate of stability, a candidate who got back on that stage last night and said, listen, we had world peace when I was there. We had peace through strength. We have a strong southern border. Law and Order wasn't just the title of a TV show, and my generation could actually go on road trips and enjoy life by filling up their gas pump. That's something that Donald Trump can bring back, and I think Gen Z is going to make the right choice there, regardless of who makes the endorsements, regardless of, you know, what social media influencers or rap stars come out. Gen Z is smarter than Kamala Harris is, and they can't bribe our votes.
I mean, there's different ways you can moderate. You know, when CNN did the debate with Biden and Trump, you know, I'll give Dana Bash and Tapper credit. They asked questions. They got out of the way. They were substantive. They really weren't biased. And we, you know, for CNN, I think a lot of people were surprised. This one, they only asked the follow-ups to Donald Trump to try to pin him down. They tried to fact-check him, but fact-checking him on things that he was right on, like some of the late-term abortion laws in some of the liberal states. Donald Trump was right about that, and they incorrectly fact-checked him. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris. She repeated lies like the Charlottesville fine people hoax and other things. Never called her to account. But
it's clear the debate wasn't about giving voters a fair look at the candidates. It was about controlling the narrative. And the moderators were more like referees with a clear agenda than neutral facilitators of a democratic process. Last night was a perfect example of how bias and rigging can undermine the integrity of a debate. And it's something every voter should be paying attention to.
But I anticipated.
Let's talk about that. 3 against 1, and all of her radical positions they leave on the table.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of negative kind of stuff. Look, I saw on your show last night, they had 100% positive coverage on ABC, and I had 94% negative coverage.
93% negative.
I exaggerated.
You got an extra percent non-negative. As you were with her tonight, to think that we come out of this debate and we have no answer to her co-sponsoring the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, yeah. I say the end of capitalism, to come out of this, you know, government-run health care and no answer to eliminating private health insurance.
Well, we brought them all up. You know, every one of the things that we brought it all up. And I also ended with, why hasn't she done it before? Why didn't she fix, you know, she's there complaining. Why didn't she fix all these things that she's complaining?
Were you really willing to leave the stage and go home if she was going to go fix it in Washington?
No, you know what? I would have left. I would have said, go home and fix it. I'll leave with you, okay? But she doesn't, she's not going to fix it. So she's complaining about all the stuff that's wrong with the country, and they've been there for 3.5 years. And I put that, I wanted to save that for my last little summation. And I actually mentioned in there, too. I just thought it was a great debate. I think we showed the weakness. But the sad part is they're destroying our country, you know, when you get right down to it.